Good morning everyone again. Now let's start our session. I'll start the session with uh, a small quotation from one of my favorite books, which is the 5 a.m. Club. Before most of you join these sessions, actually, there are certain favorite books of mine which are based on which I started this program. So when I started this program in February, it was based. The idea was based into certain books. One of the favorite books was the 5 a.m. Club. So whenever you get time, whenever you're free, especially agar up to 2025 or 26 attend there, this is one book that I would definitely recommend. I'll recommend you a couple of more books, but this is one book that I'll definitely recommend you. Now, I remember I've written down this quote, which is that the early bird catches the worm, but the second mouse catches the cheese. So basically, what this analogy says is that it's not just enough to be early. It's the mouse who's persistent. Basically, first mouse will get caught, and even after getting caught, it's only the second mouse who will have the guts to go for the cheese and then get the cheese. So it's not just the discipline of waking up early, it's also the dedication and the consistency of focusing towards this particular goal, despite knowing that the odds are stacked against you. And this is what UPSC or all these competitive exams are, whether you're preparing for this or you're preparing, some of you are preparing for masters. So the odds are stacked against you, and yet you're preparing for it, which requires consistency. So and I've already told you that consistency, in my opinion, is a more important virtue than just pure hard work. This consistency part is the thing that was always missing. I mean, completely missing in my life. And despite having those sparks of brilliance at times, had this consistency been there, even an average performance would have taken across the line. So be consistent with your classes also, and especially when it comes to writing, be consistent with writing. Now another thing, I had asked people from the 2024 attempt, please, if someone can make that group, or I can make them group, and then you can just add on people who are there in our current cohort to the 2024 attempt. I would like you to just post every day on that particular group that how much have you covered, just the schedule that you expected to follow, and how much have you covered. So that would help you to also see that what others are covering and what you are covering. So a kind of a comparative analysis of where you are. Chalo, that was regarding this particular thing. And one small update, that probably from August onwards I will start teaching the current newspaper. I'm still working out how I can do it. If we start the class maybe at 5:15 or 5:30, maybe I can teach today's newspaper rather than one day before's newspaper. For that I need to wake up a little early as well, and cover it. I'm still working out the modalities, and let's see that if it is possible. Okay. So with this, let us start with our meditation session, folks. We'll meditate for 10 minutes and then we'll go on to our journaling. Okay. So let's start, folks. Let's start to meditate. Newspaper, the Indian Express. In the Indian Express yesterday, first news, bypassing Ayushman Bharat doctor at top government hospital, which is Safdarjung. Duped patient made killing on implants. Now typically this is not a news which you need for UPSC, but this shows you, this is a good example of corruption in the system, despite all the checks and balances. If you see your ethics syllabus, despite all the checks and balances that are there built into the system, this shows that if there is this willingness of anyone who's conniving, they will get their way. And we need to every time we need to have this system checks to see whether the system is being exploited or not. Be it this, be it GST was said to be a foolproof system, but people have made a lot of shell companies and started utilizing this GST ITC जो हमारा होता है what is that called, your input tax credit. Yes, thank you. Input tax credit scam that is there. So that massive scam is there. So basically, it's not just putting into place the technology. The implementation all is depends on the people who are there. And if the people who are at the work are unethical, they will find a way to bypass the system. So this is that example that you can put there. Then the other article that is there is opposition government brace for stormy monsoon session. So you should know about the monsoon session. There are three sessions: the budget session, the monsoon session, and the winter session. Now there was this meeting of the business advisory committees. So there are a lot of committees. If you see a Lakshmikant, मेरी तो बहुत पुरानी लक्ष्मीकांत है, तो उसके अंदर तो पार्लियामेंट के चैप्टर के अंदर ही वी यूज्ड टू हैव all the committees. But I think in your versions there's a separate chapter on committees. You should be very thorough with those committees. All the committees, जैसे ये parliamentary committee हो गया, business advisory committee हो गया, who heads it, how many members, how many coming from Rajya Sabha, how many coming from Lok Sabha, all of this you should be very well aware about. Okay, so this is there. Then another article that is there is, and which is important, is India made C295 to start rolling out in 2026 from Vadodara, says Airbus. Now this is where Airbus had started making military grade airplanes. So this is the first time that we have a military grade airplane being made in India by a foreign vendor, and it will start rolling out in this thing in 2026. If you go to the next page, you will find out details that we were to replace India's own this thing aircraft, and it is being assembled. The initial first batch was 16 flyaway conditions. It's something like रफेल भी ऐसे ही हुआ था. रफेल में कुछ रफेल जो थे वो 6-12 जो है वो फ्लाईवे कंडीशन, यू जस्ट बाय देम एंड द रेस्ट ऑफ देम यू मेक इन इंडिया एंड गेट द टेक्नोलॉजी. सो लर्निंग बाय डूइंग से आ जाता है. सम ऑफ यू माइट अंडरस्टैंड लर्निंग बाय डूइंग इन कंटेक्स्ट ऑफ, अगर इकोनॉमिक्स में देखो तो रूमर मॉडल से अगर आप उसको लिंक करो तो लर्निंग बाय डूइंग वाला इम्पैक्ट जो होता है दैट कैन बी इनकॉर्पोरेटेड है. So this is what this particular article says, and unprecedented. It will have all the supply chains built into this, and this is I suppose this is an Italian company or a Spaniard. It's a Spaniard company who has started making this thing, planes in India. Now then if you go to again on page number 4, the kind of bills that you need to research on the weekend. On the weekend, I want you to research on if you don't still know the National Capital Territory bill, you can read about that. Then the Digital Personal Data bill. I'm surprised they have not mentioned the other bill, which is Digital India bill. Then Biological Diversity Amendment Act and Forest Conservation Amendment Bill. These are the 4 bills, prominent bills, which will be posted in the monsoon season. And if you see the last paragraph of this of this entire news, you have other bill of National Research Foundation. We have already discussed a number of things about National Research Foundation. Then Jan Vishwas bill. This is another bill that you should read. What is this Jan Vishwas bill? And multi-state cooperative amendments bill, and then the others are not so important, but these are important bills. Every time a new session is starting, I expect you to go through all these bills so that you have a comprehensive idea about what is being there. Then next news, page number 7. This news is important for ethics paper. We have something called as Civil Services Conduct Rules. If you see your syllabus, so यहाँ पर क्या है, center amends rules can act against IAS, IPS, IFOS or pensioners on its own. Now suppose I am from the IAS and I have retired from my job, And with respect to this, and suppose मैं रॉ के साथ था, या फिर मैं इंटेलिजेंस ब्यूरो के साथ आई वॉज पोस्टेड, and I write something, and I do a book deal, and in that book deal I reveal certain secrets which goes against the Official Secrets Act, and then the courts also convict me of basically violating the Official Secrets Act or something like that, या फिर मैंने कोई बहुत gross misconduct किया है, ठीक है. तो if all these conditions, कोई भी condition meet हो जाए और जिसके अंदर मैंने कोई grave misconduct किया है, in that case, even if it's proven in the court that someone has basically has not stood up to the stature of being a civil servant, still the center cannot basically take any action in terms of reduction of pension or stopping of pension without the approval of the state government. तो basically क्या होता है, जब when you get into this all India services, your controlling cadre is actually your state. For example, आपका यूपी cadre में हो तो यूपी becomes your controlling cadre. हर चीज़ यूपी स्टेट करेगा, ठीक है. तो इस केस में अगर कोर्ट्स ने मुझे ये भी बोल दिया कि आई एम कन्विक्टेड ऑफ सर्टन ऑफेंस एंड इट्स अ ग्रेव ऑफेंस, the central government, which is basically paying the pension and stuff, will not be able to take any action if the UP government does not refer it to the central government that, see, this person is convicted, please take action in terms of his pension against him. This used to be the normal procedure, but now what the government is doing, the government is changing these rules. The central government is changing these rules, और उससे क्या होगा, if you've been convicted of any particular grave offense or misconduct, in that case the center need not ask the state government for an approval or for a reference to take action against you. It can directly take that action against you, and that is where this is important. If you read this article, you will get to know the central government has amended the rules relating to retirement benefits of IAS, IPS, IFOS. The pensioners empowering itself to act against them and withhold or withdraw their pension even without reference from state government if they are found guilty of grave misconduct or are convicted of a serious crime. तो किसी भी चीज़ में आपको स्टेट गवर्नमेंट की वो होनी चाहिए. तो this is the All India Death Comes Retirement Benefits Amendment Rules 2023. Which basically says that कि what is misconduct, what is disclosure of any information, all of these things are there. And इसमें why is it needed? If you see the second column, the last paragraph, the rationale behind this amendment was that sometimes the state government concerned do not send the reference for action against retired official even after conviction of court of law. तो तब भी नहीं करते, ये पार्टीजन पॉलिटिक्स होती है कि यार हमारे पार्टी से क्लोज हैं इसलिए नहीं कर रहे हैं. सो ऑल ऑफ दैट इज देयर. सो रीड दिस आर्टिकल. दिस हैज एन इम्पॉर्टेंट इम्प्लीकेशन फॉर यू इन योर दिस थिंग. देन अनदर एक्सप्रेस पेज नंबर 9. MP Madhya Pradesh High Court quashes rape case, says girl at 16 or 18 capable of making conscious decision. This is again and again coming, folks. This news is again and again coming with respect to the consent, the age of consent. Age of consent हम दो जगह पढ़ रहे हैं. Age of consent in case of POCSO पढ़ रहे हैं कि what is the age of consent, and it is being suggested कि age of ये वाली की age of consent कम करो. और दूसरा हम data protection के अंदर भी age of consent कर रहे हैं, where the age of consent is हम उसको हम we want to reduce it to say 14 years या 16 years. ठीक है. So both areas age of consent is being asked. Then come to the editorial page, folks. If you remember, ऊपर एक quotation लिखी हुई है. From today onwards, we'll also just remind me every day we'll read the quotation also. So politics is war without bloodshed, while war is politics with bloodshed. I think I've given you this quotation earlier as well. Mao Zedong's this thing. A very good quotation that you can use in your article, especially say if you think of इसका यूजेज कहाँ पर कर सकते हो. इसका यूजेज आप गवर्नेंस के अंदर कर सकते हो, इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी के अंदर कई जगह कर सकते हो. So have those hashtags, folks. जब भी आप कोई टॉपिक अगर छोटा सा नोट बना रहे हो, एवर नोट में भी बना रहे हो, सम ऑफ यू आर सेंडिंग मी और एवर नोट के लिंक्स, तो उसके आगे हैशटैग ज़रूर लगा लो उसके आगे, क्योंकि उससे क्या होगा, बाय द एंड ऑफ द मंथ व्हेन यू विल सर्च बाय हैशटैग, तो आपको पता चल जाएगा कि ये न्यूज़ मैंने इस तरीके से रखी हुई है. सो दैट ऑल्सो हेल्प्स अ लॉट. ठीक है. So this is there. Then my coalition versus yours is again politics, not arithmetic, again political in nature. What is important here is wheat, war on wheat. So what has happened is, if you see, जो हमने कल लास्ट टाइम न्यूज़ भी बात करी थी कि रशिया का एक मेजर जो लाइन है, जो ट्रांसपोर्टेशन लाइन है, उसके ऊपर अटैक हुआ था, एंड विच हैज़ डिसरप्टेड उनका जो क्रीमिया के साथ जो उनका लिंक है, दैट हैज़ बीन डिसरप्टेड. एंड टू टेक एक्शन अगेंस्ट दिस, क्या कहते हैं, रशिया फायर्ड क्रूज मिसाइल्स अगेंस्ट द ओडिशा पोर्ट, और उसकी वजह से अगेन what has happened is this might lead to a problem with respect to the availability of grains in the world. एंड उसका इम्प्लीकेशन जो ये रशिया यूक्रेन वॉर है, उसका इम्प्लीकेशन जो है वो वर्ल्ड फूड सिक्योरिटी के ऊपर भी पड़ सकता है, बिकॉज दीज टू कंट्रीज मेजरली मेक द मेजर प्रोड्यूसर्स ऑफ वीट इन द वर्ल्ड. ठीक है. If you don't know about why they produce most of the wheat in the world, I expect you to read about what are these steppes and prairies, and why is that यहाँ पर इस temperate region में ये इतना ज़्यादा क्यों मिलता है, what is the soil quality. फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई हैव टोल्ड यू कई बार कि ये जो सॉइल है इसको चर्नोजेम बोलते हैं. दिस इज़ द बेस्ट सूटेड सॉइल फॉर प्रोडक्शन ऑफ वीट, बेस्ट एनवायरनमेंट है ये वीट प्रोडक्शन का. और इनफैक्ट क्लाइमेट चेंज की वजह से वीट इज़ नाउ ऑल्सो बीइंग प्रोड्यूस जहाँ कभी वीट नहीं हो रहा होता था. फॉर एग्जाम्पल नदर्न बेल्ट्स ऑफ रशिया में अब वीट बनना शुरू हो गया. क्यों? क्योंकि क्लाइमेट चेंज की वजह से टेम्परेचर हॉट होना शुरू हो गया है. कनाडा के अंदर ऊपर जाके मिलना लग गया है. पहले कनाडा में सिर्फ लोअर कनाडा प्रेरीज एंड अपर क्या कहते हैं जो आपका होता था यूएस, दैट वाज यूज्ड टू बी द व्हीट बोल. नाउ इट इज़ ऑल कनाडा में ऊपर भी मिलना शुरू हो गया. सो दैट इज़ देयर. Then I want you to read about Black Sea Grain Initiative. Now what is this Black Sea Grain Initiative? It was a deal which was brokered by United Nations and Turkey. Now this is one example where you can quote that how a small country like Turkey is now is basically helping the world to negotiate peace agreements. So Turkey has made a central role in world policies and all these agreements. और इंडिया को भी टर्की जैसा बिहेव करना चाहिए. ठीक है, कि ऐसे agreements हम ऐसे coordination कर सकते हैं. तो what was this Black Sea Grain Initiative? It basically enabled Ukraine to ship 33 million tons of corn, wheat and sunflower, barley, rapeseed. All of these, if you see, all of these are typically जो आपका राबी क्रॉप वाले जो होते हैं ना, जो इंडिया में राबी क्रॉप वाले होते हैं, वो सारे क्रॉप्स हैं in the last 1 year. So basically this is what it allows Ukraine to export it. And then अब रशिया ने मना कर दिया कि we will back out from this Black Grain Initiative. And but at the same point of time all of this has been factored in because जो बाकी production है, for example for wheat, Russia produces the highest level. Then for Brazil, US and Argentina are producing corn, and now you have other producers for soybean, palm, rapeseed. So the world is already aware that the stability of products from Ukraine might not be there, and therefore they need to pump up their own production. So this is already there. But at the same point of time, we should also because the prices in the foreign market do impact inflation in India, we should have a constant check on these prices. Then the next article, no one loves games, a very important article with respect to what we had studied yesterday. The last article, by the way, I've already uploaded yesterday's lecture last night. I'll send you the link after the class. So no one loves the games. This is about how Victoria has basically pulled out from the 2026 Commonwealth Games. What are the reasons? It says that $5 billion will be spent, and they'll only be able to earn $1 billion. But at the same point of time, they themselves made the games very expensive by hosting at multiple cities around Victoria. So how can this be done, and what is the future, because only 1,000 days are left with respect to Commonwealth Games, and is it feasible? And all the other countries are saying that we will not be able to host it, especially after what they have seen in Tokyo as well. Tokyo also was a massive game. The Olympics was a massive game, and it led to a lot of expenditure by Japan. तो कई बार होता है, this can be called as the curse of games as well, be it Olympics, be it Commonwealth Games, जिसकी वजह से बहुत ज़्यादा आपको पब्लिक एक्सपेंडिचर हो जाएगा, but you will not be able to earn enough revenue out of it. So even the IOC and even the Commonwealth group needs to sit back and see that how they can rationalize the expenditure so that it becomes profitable for a country to basically host these games, especially the Empire Games, which these used to be called as Empire Games. This is even more important because the number of participants countries are only 71 as compared to around 160 170 countries when it comes to Olympics. So they need to rationalize their approach. Then the next news is cyberspace more secure, and this is something which is useful for you in paper number 3. साइबर सिक्योरिटी का अगर जो सेक्शन है उसके लिए दिस इज इम्पोर्टेंट. बट वैसे तो दिस पर्टिकुलर राकेश अस्थाना वाज आल्सो द CBI हेड फॉर सम टाइम नाउ, and if I remember correctly, he was also at Delhi, in Delhi police. Although I think he's from Gujarat cadre, but somehow I recall that he was also the Delhi commissioner or CBI chief. So I'm definitely sure that he was there. So now this what is this news about? This news basically वैसे तो बहुत jargonized है, typical चीज़ें लिख दी हैं और एंड में बोल दिया कि डिजिटल प्रोटेक्शन डेटा, डिजिटल प्रोटेक्शन बिल इन सबका ध्यान रखता है, बट एट द सेम पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम डजंट डील इनटू द क्रिटिकल एनालिसिस. तो हर चीज़ का आपको क्रिटिकल एनालिसिस करना है, ठीक है, आपको क्रिटिकल एनालिसिस, एंड दैट्स वेयर यू कैन यूज बार्ड. एंड कोई भी टॉपिक पढ़ रहे हो उसके आगे क्रिटिकल एनालिसिस लिख दो इन 250 वर्ड्स और इन पॉइंट्स, so that you can get those points clearly that this is how I need to analyze the article or the news. And when some of you are sending your Excel sheets to me, when you are making your Excel sheets, उसके बाद टॉपिक जो भी आपने मेंस का टॉपिक उठाया, मेक श्योर दैट यू डू अ थॉरो रिसर्च. आपने अपने नोट्स बना लिए, जो भी आपने कोचिंग से लिखा वो लिख लिया, उसके बाद मेक श्योर कि आप बार्ड पे जाके उसके टॉपिक को थोड़ा सर्च करो, उसके ऊपर कोट्स ढूंढ लो, उसके ऊपर जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी, सम कोट्स ऑन इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी, जस्ट टाइप इट आउट, इट विल गिव यू अ लॉट ऑफ कोटेशंस. वहाँ वो लिख दो क्रिटिकल एनालिसिस ऑफ दैट, सो वो लिख दो. So you do your own research as well, so that you have a 2-page, 3-page or a 4-page document just for each particular topic. And once that is there, then your mains is complete. कि आपने ये लिख लिया, आपने research करके अपना पूरा अपना coaching book और अपने बार्ड से आपने उसको complete कर लिया, and then your only job will be to write answers, which will be through the test series. So use the technology to its best, folks, when you're preparing for mains. Now coming to this particular article, this article says, if you see the first column, last paragraph, that while the acts of cybercrime are often in itself, most activities like ransomware attacks, cyber extortion, phishing, hacking, you need to know the difference between all these terms. Cyber security, what is the difference between phishing and hacking, what is ransomware effect, what is a virus. Then this is also being used by organized gangs and terrorists. Especially ransomware is used by terrorists to extort money and then use it for their nefarious activities. And a lot of ransomware, you will see that a lot of ransomware attacks comes from North Korea, जहाँ पर this is a major industry to earn money, because there are a lot of sanctions involved when it comes to North Korea. Then if you go to the second column, the second paragraph, crimes like cyberbullying, cyberstalking, sextortion affect the psyche of young people, and especially teenagers who are at vulnerable age. So basically the lure of finding out the unknown and interesting things from phishing emails and messages seems to be strong, and it traps people while criminals thrive. तो वो होता है ना कि क्लिक बेट की तरह काम करते हैं कई बार ये, और ये दिस क्लिक बेट ही हमें कई बार मरवाता है कि अच्छा, और स्पेशली कई बार नॉट सो एजुकेटेड लोग कि आपको RBI से आपकी कोई लॉटरी लगी है, and you just click on it and then you lose money. So all of this is basically problematic, and इसी के he says that the digital personal data protection bill is basically landmark which divides the data. The draft divides the categories of data into 3 categories: critical, sensitive and general. Sensitive data is basically जो store करेगी सरकार, and it must be there must be a lot of restrictions to use this data. It basically deals with your health, sexual orientation, biometrics, gender, religious and political beliefs. All of this is sensitive data. It can only be stored in India and cannot be taken out of India without explicit consent. Then critical data is data which is defined by the government from time to time, and it must be stored in India, but there is no restriction on storing and processing the data, processing the general data. तो general data कोई भी कर सकता है, but sensitive and critical data के लिए government के ऊपर government control करता है. So this is the news that is there. Then the news that you can read is Parliament is a gated is a gated community. Basically, it says that that what is happening in the country in the last 2-3 months, whether with respect to the rationing of the textbooks, or it is with respect to other things. So basically, how Parliament is not been able to stand up to its ethos, उस चीज़ को लेके है. Little political, but you can read this article in general. But what I like more is the rain checks in our times. Now rain checks के अंदर, this is an article with respect to number of things. एक, we already know that the effect of climate change is now starting to impact us, and the Indian monsoons are also impacted. We have seen that initially जब ये साल का monsoon शुरू हुआ तो it was delayed by 2-3 weeks, and first month के अंदर तो the deficit was in some places was up to 50%. But now we are in the progress. Now we have seen that in the last 2 weeks we have excess rainfall, we have floods that have happened. तो हमारा रेनफॉल में ड्रॉट का कंडीशन भी आ रहा है एक ही सीजन के अंदर, और उसी सीजन के अंदर फ्लड जैसी कंडीशन भी आ रही है. Within a country we are seeing flood conditions in the northern India. We are also seeing drought conditions in Telangana and Maharashtra. So which shows the impact of climate change. And not just this, we are seeing not just in India, we are seeing हमने कल बात करी थी, even in France and even in Italy you have these massive heat waves of 45 degree Celsius. So which shows that climate change is now impacting throughout the world, and इसका impact India के ऊपर, it's not just El Nino, it is also Indian Ocean Dipole. I have explained you Indian Ocean Dipole, and the other is Madden-Julian Oscillation. I want you to read about this Madden-Julian Oscillation, MJO, and this MJO also has impact on the Indian monsoon and Indonesia and the rest of the tropical area. तो ये waves के फॉर्म में, ईस्टर्ली waves के फॉर्म में चलती है, एंड उसकी वजह से या तो एक्सेस फ्लड्स हो सकते हैं या फिर एक्सेस ड्रॉट हो सकता है. बोथ ऑफ देम कुड बी देयर. देन एंड वी हैव ऑलरेडी सीन द इम्पैक्ट. ये सारा एल नीनो और उसका इम्पैक्ट है. नाउ हाउ कैन द कंट्री चैलेंज? सो इफ यू सी द सेकंड कॉलम, द लास्ट लाइन ऑफ द सेकंड पैराग्राफ, हाउ कैन वी इंडिया टैकल दिस चैलेंज? फर्स्ट इज दैट वी नीड टू हैव मॉनसून वेरिएबिलिटी एंड हैजार्ड मैपिंग. तो कहाँ पर हमारे हैजार्ड है, कहाँ पर वेरिएबिलिटी मॉनसून की बहुत ज़्यादा हो सकती है. सो वी नो अगर हिमाचल में ज़्यादा बारिश होगी तो उनके ऊपर इम्पैक्ट बहुत ज़्यादा पड़ेगा, बिकॉज देयर एनवायरनमेंट विल नॉट बी एबल टू सस्टेन इट, एंड वहाँ पर लैंडस्लाइड आ जाएगी. सिमिलरली दिल्ली जैसी जगहों पे डज द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर सपोर्ट दी रेनफॉल? तो आप देखोगे अगर रेनफॉल बहुत ज़्यादा होगी तो इम्पैक्ट क्या होगा, बहुत कम होगी तो रेनफॉल क्या होगा. सो यू नीड दैट काइंड ऑफ मैपिंग. यू नीड मैपिंग ऑफ associated hazards and mapping of hard losses, infrastructure और finances में कितना लॉस होगा, as well as soft losses, livelihood and migration का. So you need to create that block by block index, and then you also need to see कि इसके लिए कितने financing की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी, insurance की ज़रूरत पड़ेगी against climate change. All of that financial modeling needs to be done. Then the third is that we need to restore and rehabilitate natural ecosystems. Remember that article that we talked about, grey, blue and green infrastructure. China का example of sponge cities, creating 30 sponge cities. All of these examples, folks, you need to use. तो और अगर आप उसको नोट नहीं करोगे अपने किसी उसके अंदर, that you have not noted it, you will not remember it. Things that you will remember is the things that you will be able to note. तो उसको बिल्कुल short summary जो मैंने बताया कि 2-3 लाइन की एसेंस क्या है इसका, इस आर्टिकल का, सिर्फ वही एसेंस अगर आप लिखोगे तो you will create a difference in your answers. And then that's about this particular news. Then India Sri Lanka, 5 things to do. You can read about this particular article. It talks about the 5 domains. First domain is basically हमारा जो fragmented aid program है उसके ऊपर काम करने की बात कर रहे हैं. Second is कि manufacturing, India is becoming manufacturing of destination for manufacturing and services and supply chain. And this can also be this can also help Colombo in terms of their port capability. उनका port capability बहुत अच्छा है. Especially they have deep water ports. So that is where we can align with them. Then the third is digitalization, जहाँ पर इंडिया चाइना इसको श्रीलंका को हेल्प कर सकता है. This is also part of the G20 presidency, जहाँ पर हम ग्लोबल कॉमन्स में अपना ये पब्लिक गुड दिखाएंगे. Then we can have deeper engagements with in terms of finances, especially governors level पे, RBI governor level पे, central bank governor level पे. And then the security issue, कि security कैसे रखना है, especially financial security as well as the security with respect to strategic security कैसे रखना है. So these are 5 areas that are important. और यहाँ पर इनमें बात करता है कोलंबो security conclave, which also includes Mauritius, Bangladesh and Seychelles. But अभी भी हमें we are wary of Colombo, especially Vikramasinghe, because of the kind of involvement that China has in this thing in Sri Lanka. And I've already told you about the string of pearls strategy. जो स्ट्रिंग ऑफ पर्ल्स के अंदर इसका बहुत बड़ा रोल है, कोलंबो का बहुत बड़ा रोल है. ठीक है. देन नेक्स्ट आर्टिकल explained Rajasthan minimum income provisions. We have already gone through these provisions. What this bill talks about is, this bill talks about that it talks about 3 things: right to minimum guaranteed income, right to employment, and right to guaranteed social pension. So this basically bill says that all families in the state are guaranteed 125 days of work every year. तो उन्होंने NREGA जो सिर्फ रूरल एरिया में था, इन्होंने NREGA का जो एक वर्जन है ये अर्बन एरियाज़ में भी क्रिएट कर दिया, जिसका नाम इन्होंने रखा है इंदिरा गांधी, आई थिंक अगर आपको मिलेगा तो ये मिल जाएगा, इंदिरा गांधी शहरी रोजगार गारंटी योजना. ठीक है. तो इन्होंने अर्बन एरियाज़ में भी लॉन्च कर दिया 125 डेज़ का. रूरल एरियाज़ में 100 डेज़ गवर्नमेंट प्रॉमिस करती है सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के थ्रू, 25 दिन ये एडिशनल दे रहे हैं अपनी साइड से. ठीक है. सो फर्स्ट थिंग इज दिस. द सेकेंड थिंग इज दे आर गिविंग एज पीपल, डिसेबल्ड, विडोज and single women a minimum pension of 1000 rupees a month with an increment of 15% per year. तो ये भी इंक्रीज हो गया है. जो सरकार देखती है अंडर नेशनल पेंशन स्कीम, जो नेशनल इनका गवर्नमेंट का स्कीम है, फॉरगेटिंग नेशनल सोशल असिस्टेंस प्रोग्राम के अंदर जो गवर्नमेंट पेंशन देती है वो 500 रुपये देती है. और कई लोगों को आई थिंक इफ आई रिमेंबर करेक्टली पेंशनर्स को 200 रुपये देती है पर मंथ. ये 1000 रुपये दे रहे हैं विद अ टाइड दिस थिंग ऑफ 15% इंक्रीमेंट. एंड दी गवर्नमेंट बेसिकली इसमें 25,000 crore रुपीज़ एवरी ईयर खर्च करेगा. नाउ इट डिपेंड्स ऑन यू हाउ यू सी इट, वेदर दिस इज अ काइंड ऑफ अ मिनिमम सिक्योरिटी, मिनिमम इनकम दैट यू आर प्रॉमिसिंग, और इज इट अ रेवडी और इज इट अ फ्री बी. दैट इज समथिंग दैट आई लीव टू यू. उसके अंदर भी आ जाएगा. एंड that's about it in the bill. Then just small news, you don't need to get into this entire thing. The maker of the bomb, this article is based on Oppenheimer. ये क्यों आ रही है न्यूज़ में? क्योंकि कल नहीं आज रिलीज़ हो रही है my favorite director, all time favorite director क्रिस्टोफर नोलान की मूवी रिलीज़ हो रही है Oppenheimer. And Oppenheimer is based on the life of this person who created the atom bomb. He famously quoted, after creating, he famously quoted from the Gita, and he used to read not just Gita, he also read this thing, other texts as well, Hindu scriptures as well. So Vedas bhi he used to read, and he basically was inspired by the Bhagavad Gita, and he says that now I have created. He recalls that statement between that conversation between Arjuna and Krishna. And ultimately after making the bomb he says that now I have become death by making this particular bomb. And then he went against use of nuclear weapons, एंड उनके बाद फिर उनके हाउ हिज सिक्योरिटी क्लियरेंस वाज रिमूव्ड एंड नाउ recently Joe Biden has वापस reinstated and said that what we did in 1954 was wrong. So this is this Omega Speedmaster. If you want to read, you can read. Then you can read this thing, back-to-back strikes by Russia on grain infrastructure in Odisha. 60,000 grains destroyed. You can read that particular article. And Black Sea Grain Initiative जो है उसके ऊपर आप पढ़ सकते हो. I've already told you to read about that. Then Europe battles heat waves and fires. Mercury hits new highs in China. Again, impact of this thing. Italy के अंदर temperature 46 degrees पहुंच गया है. And all of this can lead to a lot of, especially अगर आप कैलिफोर्निया के अंदर बात करो, अगर ऐसी हीट होनी शुरू हो जाती है तो it leads to a lot of forest fires, which is a major concern in US. and यहाँ पर भी forest fire becomes a major concern in these cases. Okay. That's it, folks. That's it for today. Now we will meet tomorrow again. No, tomorrow is Saturday. We'll meet on Monday, but I intend to meet most of you on जो 24 का attempt लिख रहे हैं on Sunday. We will have one 30-minute session to understand where you are, what you have done. If you are facing any issues, I like to review that as well. ठीक है, चलो. See you on Monday, folks. Have a great day ahead. Bye.